Recording every police encounter with the public raises some tricky questions about privacy in an era where nearly everything provocative ends up on YouTube. And with tens of thousands of cops already wearing body cameras, the time to answer those questions is right now. Libby Casey has our report.
This small device weighing just 3.5 ounces could revolutionize policing in America. Body-worn cameras, many say, will hold police accountable for their actions.
Got the driver's license and insurance for me?
One recent study reported that when officers wore body cameras, there was a 60% drop in the use of force and an 88% drop in citizen complaints. But many police advocates say body-worn cameras can also reveal the dangers cops face every day on the job.
Turn it off.
The officer was shot 3 times in his bulletproof vest and hit once in the leg, but he survived and the suspect was later caught. Since the death of Michael Brown, a black teenager killed by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri,
Go ahead and put your hands behind your back.
police departments around the nation have rushed to equip their officers with body-worn cameras to document their interactions with civilians. And the Department of Justice announced a $20 million program this year to help police departments purchase the cameras. It's boom times for the companies that sell the cameras, too. Taser International is known for its controversial, non-lethal weapons, but it's also become the leading manufacturer of body-worn cameras used by police. Taser's sales of those cameras went from $3.8 million in 2012 to more than $57 million in 2014.
How many cameras have come out of this factory?
Quite a few. You're looking at 41,000 cameras on the streets that we've built, and that's as of the first quarter of 2015.
You make hundreds a day?
We can do hundreds a day, and we can get, thousands if we need to out in the week.
How you doing? Driver's license, proof of insurance.
Police body cameras are now in more than 5,000 of the nation's 18,000 police departments, including New Orleans, Los Angeles, and here in Chesapeake, Virginia. The Chesapeake Police Department was one of the first in the nation to start experimenting with body cameras back in 2008. And now they're worn by every officer who walks the street, takes a call, or makes a traffic stop.
Did you have reservations about bringing body cameras into the police force here?
No, it didn't. Since we went full on into deploying the cameras on everyone who works in the field, our complaints have gone down about 44%.
From citizens?
From citizens.
Complaints about police officers?
That's correct.
When I went on patrol with Officer Albert Fargo, an 11-year veteran of the Chesapeake Police Department, I asked him about the body camera attached to his uniform.
Let's say you pull somebody over, you get out of the car. Is one of the first things you do turn on the camera?
It is. I've got it set up to where it's in my pocket, my right pocket, and I can double tap the button, it turns it on, and it starts recording immediately.
Do people act differently when they see the camera or when you tell them that they're being filmed?
A lot of times, yes.
Do you tell people that you're filming them and that the camera's on?
Occasionally I do. And a lot of times people don't see the camera. It's very small, it's on my shoulder. If they're not paying attention, they're looking at me, looking in my eyes. They won't see it, and they're not going to remember. They're not going to know they record. I will not tell them.
Why not?
I want them to continue to talk to me, tell me information I need.
So you're not obligated to tell them you're filming them?
Absolutely not.
And that raises some troubling questions. Individual privacy and police body cameras.
How old is she?
Body cameras have a very real potential to invade a lot of people's privacy. Police officers go into people's homes. A significant proportion of police calls are for domestic violence. They're seeing people at the worst moments of their lives. They're seeing accident victims in cars as they die. There's a lot of things that police officers see that you don't want to end up on YouTube.
And yet, Jay Stanley says the ACLU is in favor of arming cops with body cameras. That's because the cameras not only record interactions with civilians, but they can also monitor the behavior of police officers.
She just took off.
But there's good reason to believe that if they're done right, body cameras can really help this very serious, widespread problem we have of police abuse.
I'll give you a little bit of break. It's slippery out here.
But one problem is that because this is such a new technology, policies and procedures differ widely from department to department about who can access the footage. In Chesapeake, most police body camera videos are kept completely inaccessible to the general public. But in Seattle, Washington, the police department actually posts most of their footage on YouTube after blurring the video. And in a bid for transparency, citizens can request to view unredacted footage of almost any DUI incident videotaped by an officer.
Your neighbor wants to see the video. Well, does your neighbor have a right to see what took place in your house? I'm not so certain that they do.
A sobering thought, and as body cameras become standard issue for more police officers around the country, we're only beginning to understand the consequences of what it means to record everything.
Unfortunately, police officers are people, and they don't always make the right decision. We just don't, because we're not perfect. And there's probably going to be a time where the officer makes a bad decision, it's on camera, and it's going to protect the citizen. And there's going to be a time where the citizens don't cooperate or act like they're supposed to with the police, and it's to protect the officer. So I think it goes both ways.
It's just a camera on your shoulder. Is it that powerful?
I think it is.
And our Washington correspondent Libby Casey joins me now from Capitol Hill. Libby, one of the concerns with body cameras on police is cost. It's starting to come up as an issue. I wouldn't have thought about that because I just think of electronics as costing less and less with each passing month. How much does it cost to equip police officers with cameras?
The cameras themselves aren't that expensive, Ali. We're looking at $300 to $600, but that's just the tip of the iceberg because the real cost is storage, and that's an ongoing cost. To give you a sense of it, the Chesapeake Police Department says it costs about $1,800 a month to have one of these cameras operating on an officer. And they've got more than 250 officers equipped with cameras. They've already spent more than $500,000 on this venture. Now, Chesapeake was an early experimenter with body cameras, and they thought they'd go through about 5 terabytes of storage in a year. Well, they blew through that in under 6 months. Now they're using about 24 terabytes of storage, and that all costs money, Ali.
All right, once a police officer comes back to the station, what happens to the footage? What happens to the camera? Where does it all go?
Yeah, the officer docks it and then it's hands off. They can't edit it, they can't change it at all, and it goes up to the cloud, which of course we're all familiar with. Taser runs a service called evidence.com, and it's hosted by Amazon World Services. It's said to be very secure. That's one of the main sales points that Taser can make to police departments around the country. And there's also a chain of custody. It's treated just like evidence, so you can actually see who's looked at the video, what's happened to it, and trace the trail. Now, even if everyone follows the rules, though, we can't ignore the very real threat of hacking, which is touching so much of our content online. And even the spokesperson of Taser said to us, you know, anyone would be a fool not to think that they could be hacked. So they've got protections in place, but this video is still living on the cloud, Ali.
I will thank you for promoting what's coming up later in the show. I'll have the CEO of Taser on the show to discuss evidence.com and what happens with these cameras. Libby, always great to see you. Thank you so much for being with us. Libby Casey joining us from Capitol Hill.